Hello, everybody. Did you know that winners don't use drugs?
Don't do drugs.
Thanks, Mr. President.
Alright, welcome everybody to Golden Axe for the arcade.
Oh, yeah.
Alright.
This is one of the all-time classic
Basically, everybody, Streets of Rage has been reinvigorated. Okay, Axe Battler. The Barbarian.
Because it's a called
His mother was killed by Death Adder, and for some reason
Death
in between
equals Adder.
Yeah, it's Axe equals Battler and Death equals Adder. Yeah, apparently apparently this game is too cool for spaces between names, so equals.
So that's where favorites are at.
Tyrus equals Flare, the Amazon. Her father and mother were killed by Death plus... Man, this Death Adder guy is a douche.
Hey, Tyrus, I look forward to playing as you in that god-awful Beast Rider game.
Joba, you don't. I had to do it. I hate that.
Julius equals Thunderhead, my favorite character. The dwarf.
Yeah.
His brother was killed by Death equals Adder.
So it's a party
killed by Death
It's
Adder.
a party formed with revenge in mind.
My uncle was killed by Death equals Adder.
There's Death Adder.
That's a big barbarian.
Jova, even worse. My pet tarantula was killed by Death Adder.
All right, but before we
accountant was killed by Death Adder.
But before we go through the full arcade campaign, let's go back. Let's go to the Mega Drive port because there's some interesting differences between the arcade original and the Mega Drive port. First of all, the Mega Drive port has an easy mode called Beginner that is slightly different.
Let me guess, like most games back in the day, it taunts you and doesn't let you get to the true final boss if you don't.
Pretty much.
Gee, how did you guess? It also has a duel mode where the two players face off against each other, but whatever, trust me, you're not missing anything. It's just... It's trying to be like a fighting game, except it's just using the same mechanics. In a fighting game...
Golden Axe will actually get on a proper fighting game later on.
Yeah. Alright. So yeah, let's kill this Death Adder douchebag.
But yeah, the game is heavily inspired by classic hyborian age mythos like Conan Barbarian and Red Sonja, or Sonya, whatever it's pronounced, you know. And yeah, so basically Sega did a beat 'em up with this fantasy themed, where you beat the shit out of everyone, including these little buggers that give you a magic, for a magic meter or elf.
His name is His name is Blue Thief too. No, I'm not kidding. Like at the end of this game, there's a roll that tells you the name of every single character in this game, including the mooks, and they all have names.
And there are also these steed. I think these games are called Chicken Legs.
Chicken Legs,
which also show up in Altered Beast, mind you. So there's some loose continuity.
Well, that's because I actually know that too. Beast Rider. Sorry. Golden Axe and Altered Beast were created by the same person, so that's the reason why.
The entire gimmick with the chicken legs is that yes, you can ride them, you gain a tactical advantage, but you can be knocked out, and your enemies can also ride them as well.
Well, that applies to all the riding animals in this game too. So.
Yeah, I know.
All right, now we're fighting the first boss of the game, the Bad Brothers. No, really, trust me, that's their name, the Bad Brothers.
We're near Turtle Village.
Exactly.
Well, Gilius is chilling.
All right, in between levels, we also have this kind of bonus round where we
beat the shit out of this guy.
We beat the shit out of the blue thieves who steal shit from us, basically. As for the magic system, let me explain the magic system real quick. Basically, everybody, as you can see, I'm playing as Julius, and my brother is playing as Axe. Basically, everybody, depending on who you're playing as, your magic meter is different. The Julius can only hold up to 4 magic potions, I guess you can say, or vials at a time, and Axe can have a total of 6. The way it works is, everybody, the numbers indicate the spell level number. At least I think that's what it is. I'm assuming that's what it is. But
that's what it means.
Basically, everybody, when you use magic, you just waste whatever magic vials you have with you, and the more you have, the stronger your spell. Julius uses Thunder, as you might have saw earlier when I used it in level 1. Axe Battler creates an explosion
Actually, it's an earthquake. It specializes in earth magic, while Tyrese instead uses the breath of a dragon, essentially. Fire.
Well, if you have her full of magic too, because if it's less than full, it's just fire in general.
The elements basically are Kilius is thunder, because Thunderhead, ha ha ha. Axe is earth, and Tyrese is fire, because fire, ha ha ha.
So which one's your favorite?
My favorite character is Julius, like I said.
Gio?
Gilius, honestly. It's easy. It has become a fan favorite. And especially being a dwarf, so we can use the whole he lives longer. He is sort of like a thing that connects the franchise together other than the main villain. But don't get too affectionated to him, he's not immortal either.
No. Anyway, apparently they got a bit lazy with level 2, because instead of a boss, we just have stronger mooks that are recolored.
Yeah, there's actually similar to Streets of Rage, and pretty much a lot of beat 'em ups at the time. There are a lot of palette swaps.
Basically, everybody, Golden Axe is the other iconic scrolling beat 'em up franchise that Sega owns. Both this game and both this series and Streets of Rage were basically the go-to beat 'em ups for the platform, basically. And just like Streets of Rage, Golden Axe spawned a trilogy. Unfortunately, unlike Streets of Rage, we have yet to get a proper successor to the original trilogy, because...
Okay, here's all the story. Well, I'll elaborate more when I actually get to it, but to simplify the story, compared to Streets of Rage, Golden Axe got it a bit easier, quote-unquote, because it suffered way less censorship, you know, and it spawned a couple of more games other than its main trilogy. There's like, other than the numbered titles, there's also Revenge of Death Adder, for example, and the Death Fighting game that I mentioned. Then around between the in the mid 2000s, Sega tried to do a reboot of that, which wasn't really good.
It was made by the same company that gave us the Iron Man video game.
But that's a story for another time. And ever since, the franchise has been essentially in purgatory, only to be used in crossovers like Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed and Sega Heroes. I'm surprised that this didn't show up in Project Cross Zone, considering how iconic it is.
That is a bit weird.
Indeed.
It would have been a great crossover with the Valkyrie stuff from Bandai Namco.
Right now, there you go.
Death Jr.
Very good, Teo. Basically, everybody, if you play on beginner mode, you don't fight Death Adder. You fight his son, apparently.
Which has a shittier version of the Golden Axe, because that's the gist of it. The idea is that Death Adder has stolen the titular Golden Axe and is using it as its custom weapon.
There you go. Yeah, and you'll notice, everybody, that for some reason in the Mega Drive, Julius's axe is silver colored instead of golden colored. I'm pretty sure the Mega Drive was perfectly capable of a golden colored object, so I don't really understand.
Isn't it because for the Mega Drive version, the story is that that Death equals Adder has stolen the Golden Axe for his own?
No, I'm pretty sure it's the same.
Enjoy the game. After mastering it, more rough action in the kid mode. You're still unsure? More training awaits you here, dipshit.
Basically, yeah.
Hang on, no, it's 2 exclamation marks. It should be like, more training awaits you here!
So, to answer you too, I think both versions have the same plot. I mean...
Let me check again just to be sure. I actually did play this in one of the Sega collections.
The best way to play the original Golden Axe trilogy is in the M2 Sega Vintage Collection pack that was released on Xbox 360, and it's also playable on the Xbox One via backwards compatibility. Alright, so now that we're done with the beginner mode of the Mega Drive version, let's get back to the arcade version, since this is the original version made by the creator. We'll get back to the Mega Drive. Don't worry, everybody. We'll get back to the Mega Drive version later. But for now, Dwebs, you read this guy's dialogue. Alex, what happened?
What has happened? His Majesty and the prisoners have been taken by Death Adder. Revenge
them for me. Revenge them for me.
Well, Pedro, I didn't have a whole lot of time to read it.
Don't worry. The basic point is that Vader's a douche who's killing people, so go kill him. There you go. There's your story.
Again, classic Hyborian era storyline.
I gotta love the translation though. Not avenge them for me, my friend. Revenge them for me.
What's this? Is this a prequel to Metal Gear Rising: Revenge?
Apparently, maybe this is maybe this is the Metal Gear universe in prehistoric times. Maybe, I don't know.
Even though, yeah, how did Sega get the rights to Metal Gear?
Truly a game to surpass Metal Gear. In the meantime, here's another difference. The arcade version has occasionally you'll see mooks mishandling either animals or civilians. So there's a bit more detail in the arcade version, which is why I'm using it as the bulk of this playthrough.
But of course,
there's the animations, as you can see,
short.
The animations, as you can see, are a bit more detailed as well. So basically, don't get me wrong. Personally, I still prefer the Mega Drive version in general. While it does technically look inferior, it has more content. So it's overall an overall nicer package. I find. Like, for example, at least in the Mega Drive version, the king and the princess, when you say them, they actually say something instead of just staying silent and then boom, cut to ending in credits. So, not to mention, I'm not a particularly big fan of the ending of the arcade version. It sounds a bit too silly for me, but we'll talk about it.
The console version also has sort of like a palette swap, another palette swap.
Oh, and it's another one. In the arcade version, the enemies turn into stone for some reason.
Piece of shit.
Shit.
Yeah, it's another thing. The music is also
Quickie.
Not just that, like I was gonna say, like the music has slightly better instrumentation on the arcade original. There we go. Our sworn enemy, Death equals Adder, is in his castle. We'll take a shortcut through the Turtle Village. So basically, the beginner
sounds a nice place.
These transitions explaining where we are also show up in the Mega Drive version. It's just that they're not in the beginner mode because beginners don't deserve story explanations, I guess. So yeah, as you can see, because the beginner mode is just the first 3 levels. As you can see, the game, when ported to the Mega Drive, didn't really change game design and level design wise. They just had to, of course, change the visuals to accommodate for the less powerful hardware. But I would argue that the Mega Drive port is a very well-made port. They even, like I said, they managed to expand upon a bit the story and the content. So that's nice. There you go. Go, go, go! Oh yeah, and the civilians and the civilian voice clips in this version actually sound good instead of the Mega Drive version where you just hear you hear like this really weird sound that doesn't even sound like a person is making it. I mean, which is weird because the sound you hear when the mooks get killed in the Mega Drive version, they sound like normal death cries. So the Mega Drive can do decent sounding voice clips. What happened with the civilians on the Mega Drive version? I don't get it.
Bad compression.
Awesome. How for as bad as the game was, at least Awesome Possum had not so bad voice clips.
I guess the port had a short development time. Maybe, I don't know. So they had to cut corners, basically.
Who knows?
Unfortunately, I'm guessing the sound quality for Awesome Possum's voice clips kind of took a bit out of the music.
Doesn't have to be the case.
Alright, this is where we also get introduced to the Green Thief. The Green Thief doesn't carry magic, instead he carries pieces of chicken that restore your health. There you go. Alright, so the village was on the back of a giant turtle. Okay, the turtle takes us south across the sea.
That's a nice looking turtle.
Makes sense, since it's called Turtle Village.
So basically, you see, it's a turtle village because it's on the back of a turtle. We're so clever.
Apparently there was a different version of this first game called Golden Axe Warrior for the Master System, released in 1991, which is described more as a Zelda-styled action RPG.
Yeah, it's not really a port of this game. It's just a more of a spin-off than anything, really.
Okay, now I just didn't know about it.
So which character is considered the overall mascot of the series?
Gilius.
Gilius.
I guess it makes sense since he's the one using the golden axe.
At least for the arcade version, I still...
Well, actually, that's the thing. Actually, no, Jova. As we'll even see from Golden Axe 3, the actual titular Golden Axe is much bigger than the one Gilius is using.
Yeah.
So no, like like Theo said, the plot of this game is that Death Adder is using the Golden Axe to rule the world, so we need to stop him and blah blah blah.
So why Gilius is considered the mascot? Go on.
He's considered the mascot, not for any particular reason, other than the fact that he's the most popular character, really.
The only reason Tyrese player is on the cover of Beast Rider was because of the development accident.
Oh, I've heard. Originally, they were planning to have all 3 characters brought back.
Doing each, like 3 campaigns that eventually converge for the end, you know. But time constraining and development overestimation made sure that the team at some point decided, okay, we can't allow this, we need to, work with what we have. What's the character we have worked the most out of? Tyrese Player. Boom. Slap her onto the cover we can use that as an excuse and tell she's a strong female character.
Another thing that another compliment I'll have to give to the Mega Drive version. The Mega Drive version at the very least bothered to recolor these guys in this section, whereas in here they didn't even bother to do that. They still look exactly the same.
So long story short, Genesis version is the best.
There you go. There you go. It's just stated okay.
It may not look and sound as good as the arcade original, but it improves on the most important things, the gameplay and the content.
Alright, for the arcade version, it's the Pedro who wields the actual Golden Axe. For the console port, the Sega Genesis Mega Drive, it's the true final boss that wields it while, the Pedro wields a normal one.
Oh yeah, well, it still boils down to the same thing then, honestly. Yeah. Alright, so basically you can see, if you're playing normally, instead of Death Adder Jr., because Death Adder Jr. is not canon, instead you fight that knight character. We have gone in close vicinity of the castle, but the way is packed by enemy lines. We must dare the fiend's path to reach the castle.
Don't you just love how these other alternative routes turn out to probably be just as dangerous?
Also, there's a Sega beer garden. We should go there to drink something.
There's alternate routes in Golden Axe 3, but it just amounts to different paths with more enemies. Really, the story doesn't change. So you're like, I'm
just saying. I love how when characters say, oh, that route's too dangerous, this route is better, but then that route turns out to be pretty dangerous. It's like when they say, we should go for the sewers, because the sewers won't have as much protection when you actually get there in the game. Holy crap, the sewers have freaking lasers.
Maybe that's
oh my god, skeletons that come out of the ground?
They're literally the dead rising from their graves, so also, another theme from Altered Beast, I guess.
Not just that, looking at them, me thinks Hidetaka Miyazaki might have played this game back in the day.
Yeah, very equally cheap, I can see that. The gist of it is that skeletons are the worst thing that you can encounter as normal enemies in the Miyazaki. Well, in general, and
that applies to the Golden Axe one as well.
Honestly, these guys are so rude that they'll knock you down and then bash you over
with the shield. Yes.
To give you an idea, Joe, but the final boss of the Mega Drive version has skeletons that have incredibly large HP. They're not immortal. If you're resilient, you can kill them, but for some reason they figured they would make them super skeletons that can take 1,000,000 times more damage than other skeletons.
Wow.
Like for a long time, for 4 years, me and my brother thought that they were immortal, and you're just supposed to focus on them.
Ignored it.
But however, in recent years, me and my brother actually managed to find out. No, actually, it turns out you can kill them. You just have to take your time, apparently. Oh well. Don't bother though. I would recommend just focusing on the final boss. Trust me, it's not really worth your time, if you ask me.
Bonk bonk.
There you go.
Bonk bonk his.
Much like level 2, there's no proper boss.
Can run.
Much like level 2, there's no proper boss in this level. Instead, it's just an endurance round of mooks.
Some of the elite mooks by the look of it.
Yeah, these I think are like stone variant of normal mooks, because when used in some of the crossovers, they are labeled as such.
Don't worry, we will get name call at the end of the Mega Drive version.
Right, I forgot about that.
So we'll get to see how each of these people are called even. Alright. Bonus round, or bonus stage as it's called. Increase your powers. What do you mean increase your powers?
Kick the shit out of a nose.
It means
That
make
will
your
increase
power
their
go.
powers.
There you go.
Also, Gilius, what's wrong with your face? He looks completely... He looks like he's
The Fiend's path was a great eagle. How fucking convenient. We are taken across the skies to the castle. Now the final battle begins. I was starting to see a pattern here. First a normal level, then a level where we just happen to be on top of a giant animal that carries us across.
I guess that explains the feathers.
Well, yeah. I know. It's just that I find it interesting how the stars must have fucking aligned. They happen to come across a giant turtle that takes them across the sea, and a giant eagle that carries them through the skies to the final level.
I guess God really is in their corner for this round.
Apparently, yeah. Just also, die already, you piece.
This poor eagle is carrying pieces of land on top of itself. So.
Yeah, like seriously, that's gotta be bad for his back.
By the way, I gotta love how the eye is animated to follow through what you were doing. Yeah. In the Mega Drive version, the eyes just sit still.
Oh well.
Well, to get a less powerful hardware, gotta cut corners.
Yeah, obviously. But as you can see also from the meters, Tyrese is the one that's more versatile in magic. Especially because after the level... She takes a while to charge her level 1, but after that you can charge the more powerful levels very easily. Oop.
There we go.
I mean, actually check in the meantime who was the composer just for kings.
Oh, that actually is a good point you just made. Hey, Joe, but guess what's the composer for the second game? Our boy Nofumi Ataya.
Nice.
Did he work on Sonic games?
The composer of Sonic CD, Japanese soundtrack, and the Knights games.
Okay.
Yep.
And he's also the one that did the classic Sonic level tracks from Generations and Forces.
Oh, cool.
For as much as I'm baffled, anyway, because Ataya is much better than whatever that crap was in Forces. Whatever.
For this first game, the main composer was Yo Takada. I don't know what he did, but for the Commodore 64, they actually got I think a Western one, Jeroen. Oh, it's a Dutch person, Jeroen Tel, which. He composed. He actually has a lot of credit under his belt, but it seems he was specialized in doing Commodore 64 music. Apparently, I can't see to find any particular major example.
Oh, here you go. Here's an interesting thing that's exclusive to the arcade version. Apparently, that matter is composed of worms crawling into
snakes. Actually,
oh, snakes? Is it snakes? Okay,
it's in the name, Death Adder.
Oh, okay. So there you go. Death Adder is literally just made out of snakes. A bunch of snakes that can somehow turn into a giant warrior.
I wanted to point out, because this was actually interaction in one of the crossovers, this monstrosity is scared shit by Cream the Rabbit. Just saying.
Which crossover?
SEGA Heroes. In one of the few moments where the characters do have some kind of interaction, the writing actually does shine, because in typical crossover fashion, the characters are in character, but it still allows for some quirky interaction. In that particular case, it's a staring contest between Cream the Rabbit and Death Adder, with him saying, "Oh, you should be afraid of me," and she's like, "And yet here we are." And it's also one took it to do a little animated sketch based on it.
Nice.
But very good. Let me check. Yu Takada. Let me see what he did, because he doesn't have a Wikipedia page, so maybe IMDb says something. No, not much.
There you go. By the way, here's an interesting thing. This is the arcade version, which means we'll get to see Darth Vader's death in its full, uncensored, gory glory.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Goddamn skeletons.
They have a bone to pick with you. That's terrible. But okay, Yutakara seems to have worked on a bunch of classic Sega games like Crackdown or Game Ground. So there's that.
Alright then.
Please die.
Well, you got one of the skeletons. Oh, looks like you got both of them now.
Bonk.
Bonk. Oh, crap. Alright, there you go. And now the axe, he gets killed by his own axe with blood.
Plunging into his chest. Fatality.
And there you go, we've saved the king and the princess.
All right,
James,
yes.
are you ready? Are you ready? Because you're probably not ready for this
He's
ending.
burped.
Oh, damn it.
And there you go, that was the end. Congratulations. And that's it. The king and princess don't even speak in the arcade version. And there you go. Now we have now the game decides to go. Now the game decides to completely destroy the fourth wall by having the monsters spread out of the arcade cabinet.
But hey, someone played as Opa Opa. Just that, I guess.
So there you go, everybody. Beating Golden Axe. Freeze
the monsters in the real world, but also our heroes.
Don't worry, they'll be with it.
Weird ending.
What a bizarre. You can bet if this got a movie adaptation back in the day, this would have been the actual plot.
Yeah.
Because there was this obsession between the 70s and the 90s to have, plot based on tabletop RPGs or video games to be them jumping in the real world.
Basically, we beat that fatter, and as a result, the arcade cabinet exploded, and all the characters from the game are now in the real world and are going to take over the world. The end.
I love there's a freeze frame. I love how it ends on the freeze frame of Gilius going like "Tanduk boys."
So that was the arcade version. Very
fascinating.
That ending. I guess they were trying to be cheeky with that ending, but I don't know. It just comes across as weird to me. I would have
maybe they were setting it up for the sequel they had in mind.
I would have preferred a more straightforward ending, which is what the arcade version gives us. So that's cool.
However, remember, please, winners.
Also, this ending theme still goes on playing for a while, so I'm just allowing it to get to the end so we can hear all of it. But yeah, when you finish the game, yeah, the ending theme keeps playing until the track officially ends. So that's interesting. So I'm basically letting it finish before we jump back to the Mega Drive version.
Okay.
So yeah, that arcade ending was it was literally an arcade ending. It ended with us in an arcade.
The only problem I have is I wish if M2 ever re-releases the games again as part of the Sega Ages Switch thing that they've got going on, I really hope they do what they did, like where they include the Mega Drive version as well, because on the Sega Vintage Collection pack that they made years ago, they only included the arcade version of Golden X1. I would like for both versions to be available on the same package, personally. Anyway, Darth Vader invaded the castle and has taken the king and princess prisoners.
Well, let's go kick his ass then.
My good friend Alex was also killed in the battle. To defeat them and to bring...
peace, I guess.
Yes, peace to the land is my duty. So basically, that guy we saw killing him, being killed at the beginning of the arcade version, his name was Alex. So let's skip back to the point where. So let's skip to the point in the Mega Drive version where we defeat Darth Vader and see where. And see what the Mega Drive version does differently.
Oh, it just does that.
And there you go. In this version, the king and the princess are actually allowed to have lines. So that's already an improvement from the original ending, if you ask me.
Okay then. So what do they say?
Alright, Bibbs, you can be the princess. Use your Aerith voice.
Okay.
my utmost gratitude for our rescue.
It's okay, it's generic dialogue, but it's dialogue nonetheless.
Yeah.
I thank you for your courage, for you have rid us of the hideous Death Adder.
Don't you mean don't you mean death equals adder? Adder? Sorry.
But I have a feeling that he might have been taking orders.
That's right. There's an extra final boss in this one.
A man behind a man.
Sometimes he did disappear into that door.
That doesn't really prove anything, Princess.
No wait, don't
Maybe
you
it
see
was
that?
just his bathroom.
Or maybe it's a secret
Will
gym.
you go into battle for me yet once more?
Fine.
Thank you.
Yes, my lord. So yeah, extra level.
All right. Just one more task to do.
There you go. All right, so this is the exclusive level to the Mega Drive version.
The secret basement, if you will.
Basically, this is totally a JRPG style plot twist. Ah, don't you see? This guy was secretly working for this other guy all along. Don't you see? The real villain is not Golbat, it's Zeromus. Don't you see? It's
Yes.
Not even that, Pedro. Remember, it even starts just saying, "Oh, it's just a Z-move." But when we get to the final boss, no, it gets an even bigger form, but now it's called Zeromus.
Yeah.
So yeah, the gimmick also on this level is that there are these insta-kill pits, so throw the enemies, not yourselves.
Exactly. Fortunately, this will be improved upon in Golden X3, because in Golden X3, the enemy, if you make the enemies fall into the pit, they'll die. However, if you yourself fall, you just lose some HP. So basically, Golden X3 made it a bit more forgiving. Whereas in here, if you do fall in the pit, you die. You genuinely lose a life. So.
Oop.
There you go.
Yeah, as you can see, also sometimes the enemies are that stupid and fall into themselves.
Lovely.
It's because of the AI too. Basically, the enemies will follow you wherever you go. So if you know how the AI works, and I do because I've been playing this game for years, you can take advantage of the AI stupidity to make the enemies basically kill themselves. In fact, this is another thing. We're about to fight a boss, which is basically 2 recolored knights. However, because there's a death pit right there, we can literally throw our enemies into that death pit and basically speed through this part. There you go, see?
Oh, there you go. Those are the stone enemies. So there you go. I forgot about that.
This is what my brother and I usually do when we get to this point. We just take advantage of the death pit and just throw our enemies there. See? Oh, god damn it. There you go.
Oh, yeah, there's the idea.
There you go.
Oop.
Come on, come here.
Get over here.
Come on. There we go.
There we go.
And these two, despite being boss characters, they can also be killed instantly thanks to the death pit. So let's...
Come on, let's just make our way around. Okay. Kickity, kickity, kick.
Alright, almost. There's one.
Bump, bump.
So yeah, developers, you probably should have closed out that pit for the purpose of not...
Maybe it's done on purpose to help a bit the players, considering, you know, this is not the arcade mode, but an actual console port.
Probably.
Yeah.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final boss of the Mega Drive version, Deathbringer.
Yep.
He is literally Death Adder, but recolored.
And except he's way tougher than Death Adder.
Yeah.
Trust me, because he's the only boss of this game that can also use magic.
Oh boy.
And look at that too, his axe is green, so I guess never mind the golden axe. I mean...
I guess the colorist didn't get the memo.
Apparently.
Although I do question why a Western inspired fantasy overlord as Chinese dragons on his throne. Okay.
Because it looks cool.
I guess.
He's probably
There you go, that's his
multiple
magic.
realms.
That's the thing too, his magic attacks are all taken from the three main characters. That spell he just did, that's one of Axe Battler spells.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, he has the same magic. Unlike us, which we only have one element per character, he has all 3 elements, so he's basically broken as crap. And like I said, these 2 skeletons that he has with...
There we go.
There you go. Boom.
He just plugs it like that. Alright, are we done now?
Yes,
no,
we
wait,
are.
it turns out there was this other bad
Thank you,
guy.
gallant one. How now the people will be able to live,
In peace, I'm guessing. Go ahead.
to build, and to prosper in peace. May you be titled the savior of our
Land? Kingdom? Yeah, cut it.
kingdom. Now prepare for a grand feast.
Woohoo! Alright,
Yay.
Grand Feast.
Time to get wasted.
So it's just like at the end of an Asterix story.
Yeah.
We praise your acts of bravery and deeds of courage.
Only, do we have a bard to tie up to a tree, though?
No.
Also,
sorry.
call the span an ambulance for God's sake.
Maybe we can
Finally,
move on
you have
with
defeated all of the evil clan. The land shall revive in peace, and the people will talk of your deeds as a legend in the years to come. So I actually like this. I actually prefer this ending. It's a more straightforward ending that fits the inspiration of the game. Anyway, cast.
So they don't do the whole arcade
No.
kind of
No.
thing. I guess to be fair, that makes sense since you weren't exactly playing it on an arcade cabinet.
All right, so Henninger silver, and they bothered to give him height, weight, and stats. Henninger purple and Henninger red.
But they're all the same stats.
Then we have Henninger gold, Henninger dark, and Henninger bronze. No, you'll notice that Henninger dark has attack level B and move level B, whereas Henninger gold has attack level C. See?
Okay, these guys are starting to remind me of the ninjas from Mortal
Silver
Kombat.
Longmoan, Purple Longmoan, and Red Longmoan. Interesting. Alright, I think they also have different weight when we get to the metal ones. Yeah. Yeah, Gold Longmoan, Dark Longmoan, Bronze Longmoan. So there you go.
They have different attack levels, and apparently the Dark Longmoon has an unknown weight.
It's Torshinaya and Strobaya.
Those sound like stripper names, not gonna lie.
I love this music, by the way. This music is really good. Lemonaya and Gruzia. And Gruzia, for some reason, they don't know the weight. I mean...
Well, all the shadow enemies have a question mark for their weight.
No, the Dark Longmoan had weight, too, actually.
No, all of them actually have.
Didn't he?
There we go, there's the
okay.
skeleton.
No, it had question marks.
Never mind then. Skeleton.
Huh, it's actually heavier than I would have imagined.
The Bad Brothers and Lieutenant Bitter. He's very bitter.
I bet, because he's dead.
Then we have Sergeant Malt and Sergeant Hop and Colonel Bitter. Not so we have Sergeant Bitter, and now we have Colonel Bitter. Huh.
Brothers.
Then we have General Heartland and General Bitter. Okay.
I'm noticing a pattern here.
Gee, you think?
Someone must have been very hungry when they were making this.
Chicken leg. Speciality, wagging tail.
Aww.
And using it to whack enemies to death.
Indeed.
Oh, so this jingle is cute.
It is. Blue dragon and red dragon.
Oh, blue dragon.
No.
That's not that interesting for a video game. Though honestly, red's a better color anyway.
Blue thief and green thief.
Smurf and alien.
I guess. Alright, villager A and villager B. They didn't bother.
Villager A is a man and villager B is a woman.
You'll get villager A and no.
And yet the woman weighs more for some
And she's
reason.
also taller.
Death Adder Jr., here you go. He has attack
Death
level A
Adder
but move
Jr.
level B. Death Adder, which has the exact same stats as his son.
Guess his son's a chip off the old block.
I guess. However, Deathbringer has max stats.
Oh yeah.
He's very, very heavy.
Which means he'd be tough to knock off in a Smash game.
Hax Battler, and Tyrus. There's a joke here where Tyrus Flare they don't say her weight because you don't ask a woman her weight.
Yeah.
The king and princess.
They don't get stats because fuck you.
The king is still waiting for that ambulance.
Apparently.
No, that's his normal resting pose, Jova.
I'm dying here, damn it.
And the credits of the Mega Drive version are really cool. The Julius is playing ball with Longmoan. And the
nice.
and the balls are the
Well,
credits.
the other two are shielding.
So yeah, that was Golden Axe, both versions. So I actually prefer the Mega Drive version. I don't know, like you can say, oh, it's fun and silly, but I prefer the Mega Drive ending personally. I think it's more straightforward and more akin to the Conan the Barbarian roots of this franchise, really. Whereas I guess they were trying to be cheeky and funny with the original ending, but it honestly to me it just comes across as weird. It comes out of nowhere, really. I actually prefer this ending, and like this credits in particular are very charming. And I do like the fact that they went out of their way to give all the characters names, weight, and height. So that's interesting. And this ending music is wonderful. I love this music quite better than. Well, actually, no, it was the same. Never mind. But I actually prefer. I think I actually prefer the Mega Drive remix of this tune over the arcade version, to be honest. So yeah, as a game itself, it's very good, actually. It's actually my favorite Golden Axe game because it feels like it's the one that has the more charm to me. Because Golden Axe 2 just feels like the same game again. Golden Axe 3 tried to mix things up, but I don't know. It's a bit. It feels a bit generic to me.
To me, it's kind of the opposite because it introduces so many new things.
Yeah. In the meantime, so basically, everybody, Golden Axe is a very enjoyable beat 'em up, right up there with Streets of Rage 1. Streets of Rage 1 might have better music, but I would argue this one also has, assistant director Opa Opa. Ha 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 ha. Oh, nice.
Of course.
So, remember, Opa Opa was supposed to be the mascot before
English messages,
yeah.
English messages Tsugu. I'm guessing by English messages they mean the English translation.
I guess so.
Arcade game design, Team Shinobi. Yeah, Team Shinobi. And presented by Sega.
Shinobi did start as an arcade series too.
Of course.
And the main characters give us the end.
Aww.
So there you go.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a classic. And for good reason. It's a very charming game that does a good job in just being a very straightforward beat 'em up that is memorable in its own right. Like I said, I prefer the Mega Drive version, but both games are good too.
All right. No, it's actually pretty, like I said, pretty solid. And yeah, probably of the classic series, probably the better one. But again, sticking to the console version. The arcade one is, of course, technically speaking, the better looking. Quote unquote, also the better sounding, but in terms of content, the Sega Mega Drive version is, unbeatable. I don't know how the other ports, like the Commodore 64 versions, were, so I don't know how to tell. Especially if it seems to have that different composer for that one. But no, this one is definitely better with, an entire new level, an easy mode mockery, and an entire new final boss, and, a more proper, ending with also some cheekiness to the credits, before and during the credits themselves. The characters are recognizable, so are the enemy types, even the palette swap, and this is also why basically it entered in the pantheon of the Sega IPs, which again, there's immense potential to be tapped for also the crossover with Sega used sometimes, but not always. So I always look forward when Sega involves crossover stuff that these will show up as well. But for the first game, again, stick to the Mega Drive version and you'll have a good time, especially if you're playing co-op. Next.
Yeah, I'll go next. The Genesis version is definitely the more definitive one, I'd say. The arcade one is pretty neat as well, and I'll admit, I did get a kick out of that trippy ending with everyone escaping the arcade cabinet. But in terms of content and the overall experience, Genesis version is definitely your best bet there. The characters are all, nice and recognizable, nice and iconic looking, with each, being fleshed out enough for a beat-em-up of this particular take. The music is nice and charming, the jingles are well put here and there, and the quality is well kept for this game. Overall, it's a classic still to this day. Alright, Dwibs, take us home.
I think both the Mega Drive version and the arcade are as good as the other, to be honest. I mean, the Mega Drive one does have, it has dialogue, fair enough, but the dialogue is exactly very,
Shakespearean.
well, I wouldn't expect that out of a game like this, just basic. But, you know, it's alright, again, you know, it's a 2D fighting game, so it wouldn't be something I'd go out of my way to play. But you know, it still looks okay.
All right. Personally, I also like to make an appeal to M2. Hopefully, if the Sega Ages line on the Switch does get the Golden Axe games at some point, I really hope they do something akin to what they do, because basically, everybody, for those who don't know, Sonic 1 on the Switch has both the Mega Drive version and the arcade version. It was the first time, actually, that the arcade version was re-released of Sonic 1. So hopefully M2, on the next, when they release Golden Age 1 on the Sega Ages lineup, they'll release both versions as well, because I do believe both versions are worth releasing alongside each other, really. So that's what I'm hoping, because M2's original Golden Axe trilogy pack only has the arcade version of the first game. So it would be nice to have that. All right, everybody, tune in next time for Golden Axe 2.
See ya.
See ya.